We've got a pretty big episode today here, roughly halfway through season number 3 of the Warriors franchise. We've got our first prospect profile of the year. I know people are going to be excited to see that. And we're going to make it up to the trade deadline, talking about some potential trade scenarios for our team that we could look at coming into a pivotal deadline. We've obviously had a really good season, the third best record in the NBA right now at 29-14, only 1.5 games behind the Spurs for the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. We are one of the league's contenders, but over the last couple of years, we've had good regular seasons, but have just one playoff win over the last 2 seasons to show for it. And we've got to make the moves necessary at the deadline to make sure that doesn't happen. We are currently the 3 seed in the West, despite all the injuries that we've dealt with throughout the year. And right now, we're pretty healthy. Jimmy Butler is still going to be hurt for another month or so with an elbow. But otherwise, everybody else is healthy and in the lineup. We've seen the young guys really grow and progress, while the old players really aren't playing much worse than they have in the past, and it does feel like this is the best form of our current roster. Before we talk about some deadline scenarios, though, let's go through our prospect profile. Right now, we've got our own pick, which is trending towards being at the end of the first round, but we've also got a lottery-protected Bulls pick in the Podziemski-Ayo Dosunmu trade last year at the deadline. The Bulls are not great. That pick currently projected in the top 10, but they're only half a game out of a play-in spot, and if they win a couple play-in games, you never know. They could make it as an 8 seed, and that could be like the 15th overall pick for us. I'm not really sure if it's a good thing if that pick conveys, though, because that could end up being really valuable for next year's draft, where it would be completely unprotected. Nonetheless, it's an interesting asset for us that could end up being a solid pick. Let's now take a look at this draft class, the moment you have all been waiting for. We're only going to go over 10 prospects today instead of 14 because we've got a lot of trade deadline stuff to go over. I feel like there's 2 types of NBA draft classes, particularly at the top. There's talent classes and there's fit classes. What do the teams at the top look for? Do they look for the best talents or do they look for the best fits? I would describe this as a fit draft class because I don't think it's an overly top-heavy group. Maybe not as great at the top as previous years, and I think a lot of the guys high up here are very close to each other in terms of talent. I think teams are going to be looking for fit. We're going to start with Norwood Nobles out of Minnesota, the current projected number 1 pick. As we look at his game, there's a lot to like. He is a 6'10", 230-pound grown man. He can guard every position. He can handle the ball. Look at him scoring here in isolation, off the dribble, smooth. He's a vertical, explosive athlete who can get up there with anyone. He honestly reminds me a lot of Silan Novikov, the Russian forward from last year's draft class. We're going to get to look at him later today when we play against the Blazers. Nobles is a great finisher inside. He can score within contact. He's a good defender, good playmaker. I don't think he's quite the shooter that Novikov is. I think that's the one difference between the two of them. But otherwise, I think right now he is the best prospect in this draft, the current favorite to go number 1. It's not a foregone conclusion, but that's how things have trended. He's had a terrific freshman year. Then the question is, who goes number 2? Right now, according to Draft Express, their next player is Florida sophomore point guard Samuel Queen. He does not look like he should be the number 2 pick in the NBA draft. As a freshman last year, he averaged only around 7 points per game, but this year he's turned into one of the best players in the country, seemingly out of nowhere, a shocking breakout. But his skill set is very translatable. I think the best part of his offensive game, nice rebound there, he's a great rebounder. But the best part of his offensive game is his ability to drive to the basket and his finishing ability. Look at him here in contact, switches the hands, makes the layup. When you have guys who are ultra efficient around the basket, that really changes things for your offense. I look at Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in Oklahoma City. His percentages around the rim are unbelievable. That's what makes him who he is. I think Samuel Queen can be a poor man's version. I don't think he has the quickness or the explosiveness that Shai has, but I think the two of them have very similar play styles. Cam McKnight is next up from Illinois, a talented 6'8", two-way forward. This is your traditional wing prospect, a gritty, tough defender who is pesky. He wants to make your life hell. He can shoot the ball, he can drive to the basket, he can finish, and I think his athleticism and shot-making upside is really exciting. The efficiency and consistency needs to improve, though, as a scorer. He's not consistent on a game-by-game, possession-by-possession basis, but you see the flashes there. Somebody who's 6'8" like him, who's got his explosiveness and his ability to handle the ball and his ability to defend. There aren't many players like that. Cyrus Edmond from Memphis is fascinating. The name of his game is speed. Look at that possession, blowing by the Purdue guard. He's going to be one of the 3 fastest players in the NBA next year at minimum, and with his speed, he's able to use it as a passer. That possession, he drives inside. The weak side defender is going to have to help out, which gives him the chance to pass it out, whether it's to a corner shooter or a big on the dunker spot. In that instance, it was the corner shooter. And I think his passing smarts are really helpful. Because of his speed and the constant doubles, he needs to know how to pass out of those and find the open man, and he does a good job of that. And being only 18 years old, he's going to continue to get smarter and better and more efficient. I really think the sky is the limit for Edmond. Next up, we take a look at Eze Obiambo from North Carolina, an athletic, rim-running big man who is terrific within 15 feet of the basket on both ends of the floor. He's a really good finisher, really good connector, is a lob threat. I think he's a better post defender than the B- grade here shows. I don't really think that does him justice. His athleticism, rim protection, and rebounding skills are all quite solid. He doesn't really have one area that he's great at, though. I think that's the one thing that teams aren't going to necessarily love about him. But he doesn't have many major glaring weaknesses. I think he's got the stamina and speed to hang on an NBA floor for 30 minutes a night and the switchability to go to the perimeter when needed. Jaden Carter from UCLA is a really explosive athlete, another modern wing type who plays above the rim. Inconsistent as a shooter, but again, as you can see here, the shot-making upside is there. It's just about the consistency, especially from 3, where he has shot less than 30% from this year. I think he's got a good feel for the game as a playmaker. Not many guys who are 6'8", 210 pounds, with his athleticism, his defensive instincts, and a 7'3" wingspan have an eye for the floor that he does. Jalen Carrington from Houston is going to be one of the most polarizing players in this draft cycle to me. He plays like a Ferrari, but he's built like an F-150. Take that as a compliment or as an insult, however you wish. On that play, he should have backed down on the smaller defender, but instead he goes for the fadeaway jumper and makes it. He's a really good shooter, which you don't really see with players of his build, 6'7", 250 pounds, barely a plus wingspan. He doesn't have good touch around the basket. He is one of the strongest players on the floor, but he doesn't really know how to use his strength inside to score in the paint. I really like him as a defensive prospect, though. His size and strength helps him match up with bigs. He can switch on at the perimeter. He can handle faster guards. His wingspan only, being 6'10", does hurt him a little bit as a defender. He's not as rangy on the perimeter. He has a harder time contesting shots from bigs. If his wingspan was like 7'1", I think he'd be the second best prospect in the draft. Let's look at Stuart Jacobs from Creighton. Great passer, but as a playmaker, you have to have an ability to score. On that play, him driving draws the defender. That makes it easier for him to kick it out for the shot. He's a good shot maker, and when you have the ability to score as a point guard, that opens things up for you as a playmaker. So the fact that he can do both is really impactful. He is an inconsistent three-point shooter. I think he is better in that area than the C-plus grade suggests. He's not a very good defensive prospect right now. You're drafting him for the offense. You're drafting him for the playmaking, the passing vision, and the shot making. Dallas Carter is next from Kansas. No relations to Jaden Carter. They just happen to have the same last name. I like Dallas Carter's skill set. He is a 6'6" guard who often plays like a forward. Look at this possession. He doesn't beat the guard driving inside, but he's able to switch onto the big and get the stop. I think his overall skill set is a good one. This is someone who can drive to the basket, really good at finishing in contact, but he can spot up, shoot the three. He's a really solid defender. He's got a good feel for the game as a playmaker. He doesn't really have many major weaknesses. I think this is a guy with a really high floor and somebody who's going to be able to get early minutes for a contending team really as soon as next year. Bill Self's development program remains undefeated. Jabari Olgabari is the last guy we're going to talk about. Really nice block on that possession. The rim protection, the size, and the arm length is certainly what's most exciting about him. He plays like a traditional low post big. He is really good scoring the ball inside. He can shoot it a little bit. He's got decent enough shot mechanics, but he doesn't really provide a major threat outside of 10 feet. But inside 10 feet, he is really hard to stop. When you have these rim-protecting bigs like Ogabari, you're drafting them for the defense, and you'll settle with 8 points a game. For Ogabari, though, he's so much more than that on offense. He's got great touch around the basket. He's got a good fadeaway. Obviously, he can score in contact. I think his overall skill set's going to make him one of the best prospects in this draft when it's all said and done. He's so consistent and so solid on both ends of the floor despite not really providing anything on the perimeter. So those are the top 10 prospects currently. We're going to go over a lot more players later in the year. Even though it's not an overly top-heavy class, I think it is a really deep one, which is helpful for us since we'll have either 1 or 2 late first-rounders, assuming we hold on to them, which is far from a given. So with that, we'll shift our attention over to the trade deadline. We've got 9 games until then, and I'm going to talk about some potential scenarios and moves for us and other teams around the league. I feel like there's more of a sense of urgency for us this year than past seasons because Jimmy Butler's 37 and Steph Curry's going to be 39 in a month. We've talked about the possibility of those guys retiring soon, but at some point, it's no longer going to be a hypothetical, and instead it's going to be the reality. This could be our last chance to compete with those guys, and we've got the assets to make a big move. That Bulls pick is a nice asset. The Sixers and Clippers swap pick is a really nice asset. Our first rounders in the 2030s are good assets right now because we're probably not going to be that good early in the 2030s. There are other teams who have more draft assets than us, but with the exception of the Nets, I don't think many of these teams are looking to make big splashes. Teams like the Kings, the Jazz, and the Hawks are still rebuilding, and obviously they're not going to be looking for star power. As we look at the roster, we've also got some players who could be shipped out as potential assets. Obviously, Steph isn't going anywhere. I don't think it makes much sense to trade Jimmy Butler either. And it would take a lot to move on from Jonathan Kuminga. But I look at these young guys, Antoine Salice, Roman Loggins-Burl, and Kajai Stokes. I really like all 3 of these players. They're big pieces of our future and big pieces of our present. But if they're the only ones stopping us from getting a star, it might be worth it. Salice is obviously a dynamic scorer, 40% from 3 this year, true shooting percentage, well above 60%. But if he's the difference between us getting an all-star, would it be worth it to keep him over an all-star? Roman Loggins-Burl has unbelievable upside, and he has shown the flashes this year. He's gotten better this year. The three-point shot has come a long way since October, and I think his consistent improvement in that area suggests that he's going to continue to get better all around. I think he'd be a great asset for teams. But again, is it worth it to keep a player like him when we can use him to get an all-star? And then there's Kajai Stokes, the other rookie, who also has improved a great deal this year, and he's got some major strengths to his game. He's an inconsistent shooter, but he's got a good three-point shot. We know it's in there. He's a phenomenal perimeter defender as well. His efficiency has gotten better throughout the year. And as we look at Salice, Roman, and Stokes, all 3 of these guys I think are capable of being in the playoff rotation. But if we can get a star, again, it might be worth it. Because while these 3 guys all probably have star upside, especially Salice and Loggins-Burl, they're not all-stars right now, per se. And we can probably get an all-star right now. So as we look at some teams at the bottom who could potentially be looking to move their stars, I think there are a few options for us. I look at Cleveland, who's had a bad year. This one feels unlikely, though. They just made the finals. Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley had 3.5 years left on their contract. This one feels really unlikely. I think it's just been a down year for the Cavs. They'll figure it out. The Hornets are a little bit more likely. I think they're going to give Brandon Miller an extension. So LaMelo would be the guy who is moved out. It would be more so LaMelo Ball pushing his way out. And even if he does, is he a great fit with Curry? I'm not sure. Maybe we could work it out. I think these teams in the middle, though, make more sense. We'll start with a quick look at the Nuggets, who have been disappointing this year. Jamal Murray's got a lot of time left on his deal, but Kawhi Leonard is a free agent, and Nikola Jokic is a player option that he's widely expected to decline. Obviously, Kawhi would be the more likely addition. The Nuggets gave up quite a bit for him. His price would probably be lower than it was. And then there's Jokic, who might be the best player on the planet. We would have to give up a king's ransom for him. He has missed some time this year, but even when he's been healthy, the Nuggets have been kind of average. And they've done a mediocre job of building a roster around him since they've won a title. But again, I think the middle is your sweet spot. The Mavericks recently extended Kyrie. They recently signed Trae Young. But as I mentioned in the offseason, I don't feel like these guys are a great fit together, and I could see them looking to blow it up sooner rather than later. The Knicks are here. I don't think this one's going to happen. They're a few years removed from winning a title. And again, you're not going to fit Jalen Brunson and Steph Curry in the same backcourt. And I'm not sure if there's anybody else here who would be a great addition for us. OG Anunoby's been one of the least valuable players in the league this year. That would be a horrible addition. I think it's these four, the Sixers, Lakers, Pelicans, or Suns, who's most likely to make a big move with one of their star players. The Sixers have gotten better as the year has gone along, but they still have not met their expectations, and it could make sense to move off of one of these guys. Maxey, Paul George, or Joel Embiid, all of whom I do think would be pretty nice fits here, but Maxey and Embiid would cost a lot. Paul George, not so much. But do we really want our three best players all being over 37 years old? I don't know. I look at the Lakers with Anthony Davis. He's a terrific two-way player, but he's got a big contract, and I think regression is very near for him. The back end of that contract could be bad, but I don't know if it's the right time to be thinking 3 or 4 years down the line. We've got to be thinking about right now. I think the Pelicans really want to keep their guys together, but if they get an offer they can't refuse, it might be worth it. Brandon Ingram, I think, would be a nice fit here. Darius Garland only has 2 years left. They just extended DeJounte Murray, so that's not going to happen. But what about Zion? He's only got 2 years left. Are we sure Zion wants to stick around for what's been a mediocre Pelicans team? I'm not really sure. They have their potential replacement for him in Jamar Fofana already on the roster. And then I look at the Suns. Kevin Durant is currently injured. He's going to be out for a little while. He's also planning to retire at the end of the year. That certainly hurts his price. But he'll be available, I think, as will Devin Booker, who only has 2 years left. So I figured I would do some exploring on the Trade Finder for some of the names I just mentioned. We'll start with the 76ers, the big three of Embiid, Maxey, and George, and it doesn't seem like they're overwilling to do business with us. We could still make a proposed trade for one of these guys, but we might have a hard time making something happen. Believe it or not, there are some authors for LaMelo Ball. I didn't really see this coming, but they all involve Steph, and we're not trading Steph. That ship has sailed a while ago. Anthony Davis, as I mentioned, would be an option as well. I think he would obviously be a massive upgrade for what we have at the 5. The Lakers don't have any offers here. We're probably going to have to give up a lot. I look at the Mavericks here with Kyrie and Trae. If we were to get Kyrie, we would be without him for a month or two. So by the time he comes back, it would be close to the playoffs. We're going to need more time for Kyrie to figure it out with the guys we have on our roster. For Kawhi Leonard, we would have to give up an arm and a leg. For Jokic, it would probably be about 7 arms and 12 legs. I look at the Pelicans. I think Brandon Ingram would be doable. Darius Garland, in terms of value, would be doable. But again, he's not really a fit with Curry. So if we were to make a trade with New Orleans, it's probably for either B.I. or Zion. Again, for Garland, 4 of the offers have Curry. The other one is Kuminga. I don't think I'm willing to do that. But as we look at Zion, this would be the type of player who maybe we're willing to trade Jonathan Kuminga away for. The only offer would include Curry, but again, with a proposed trade, that could be different. And we talked about Zion and Kuminga swaps back in Season 1. I'm going to take Kevin Durant's injury off just for the purpose of exploring. They don't really have any offers for him, which is a little bit of a surprise to me. He's planning on retiring at the end of the year. I think it would make sense for them to trade him away. And in terms of an on-court fit, I actually think this is the one that makes the most sense for us, believe it or not. The one thing funnier than having the oldest player in the league as our best player would be having the second oldest player in the league as our next scoring option. But even though Durant's going to miss most of the remainder of the regular season, I think he makes the most sense as an on-court fit because he's already played with Curry. The two of them know how to share the floor with each other. I don't think it would be much of an adjustment period once Kevin Durant is healthy. Even though he's 38 years old, he's still a really good player, and since he's retiring in 3 months, we wouldn't have to give up that much for him. I don't think I'd be willing to ship off Jonathan Kuminga for a rental. The problem with that, though, is it would be really hard to make the salaries work. Turner and Dosunmu are the 2 next biggest salaries, so unless we were to add a third team, I don't think that would be able to happen. I look at Zion. The price for him would obviously be a lot larger than Durant, considering he's like 12 years younger. We would probably have to start with Jonathan Kuminga. Him and Turner for Zion and Murphy, the salaries would match. We'd probably have to add some draft picks in there, but this is what a hypothetical Zion trade would look like. The question now would be, is it worth it to trade Jonathan Kuminga away? Zion's a better playmaker, he's a better scorer, but Kuminga's a better defensive player and a better shooter. Would it be worth giving up him, Myles Turner, and 3 ones for Zion? I don't know. You got to keep in mind, Zion, I think, would fit somewhat well with Curry, and he could be the franchise player after Curry. I think he's got more upside than Kuminga does. So if Kevin Durant and Zion are off the table, what are the other options? I don't think there's many great ones. I think Zion would be the best long-term addition, and I think Kevin Durant would be the best short-term addition, but it would be really hard to make one of these deals work. Again, for Durant, we would probably have to add a third team. Even so, it would still take a lot because the salaries of Turner and Dio are still very far off. So if we don't trade for one of those big fish, what's next? I would say look at a role player. The problem is I'm not going to trade one of our really good young guys for like a Desmond Bane caliber player. That's not really worth it. So the assets we could potentially move would be a lot more limited. So some options I do think could make sense include Josh Hart. I think our team could look to add some rebounding. He offers that. He can space the floor a little bit. He's a vibes guy. Clearly the Knicks want a lot for him. Seems like his value might be higher than it should be. Loggins-Burl and Kuminga? Hell no. Moses Moody, a guy we're already familiar with. I regret trading him away a little bit. Now, granted, we got a good return in that deal. We got Adembona, who's been very good for us. We got the Sixers and Clippers pick in 2029, but I would have loved to have held on to Moody. He's developed into a really good player with the Hornets. The Sixers are the big losers of that deal because they never re-signed him. It would be ironic if we traded Bona for him. This would be the only trade that I think would make sense value-wise, but is he really that much better than Ayo Dosunmu? Making this trade kind of feels like it would be making a deal just for the purpose of making one. Trey Murphy could be an option, good floor spacer, switchable defender, and another vibes guy. I think he'd be good for the locker room, but it seems like the Pelicans want a lot for him, which is a little bit of a surprise given that they haven't been that good and he's like the 8th man off the bench. A sleeper pickup for us, I think, is Zachary Rizache. He's turned into a really good shooter, and I don't really think he fits the Hawks' long-term core very well. I think they have other guys over him who they're prioritizing. Since he was the number 1 pick recently, it would take a lot to get him, but I actually think the fit makes a lot of sense. I mentioned Desmond Bane unironically, but I actually do like this addition. He would probably start over, I guess, Antoine Saliz. I'd rather add some size if I can, but Desmond Bane's a good player who could stick around for a few years and be one of our go-to options once Curry and Butler are gone. A more expensive option in terms of trade capital would be Herb Jones. He's one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. He's a solid three-point shooter, and he's on a really team-friendly contract. So because of that, we would have to give up some good assets, I think. Although this trade isn't the worst. We would have to give up the Bulls pick and Ayo Dosunmu. Not a terrible trade. We could always try to package Zion and Herb together, but that would quite literally cost an arm and a leg. I think Kuminga, one of our key young players, and at least 3 first-rounders would be the price. Bub Carrington in Washington, he's a younger guy. The Wizards do have a very crowded backcourt, but it seems like they want Curry or Saliz or Kuminga or Loggins-Burl. I don't think I'd be willing to do that. Keon Ellis has not put up the big numbers in Detroit, but he can space the floor, and he's a really, really good perimeter defender. I don't necessarily need someone with high scoring averages. I want efficiency and defense if I'm getting a role player. Something like this could work, but is it worth it to trade a guy like Kajai Stokes away? What about Onyeka Okongwu? I think he could be an option. We have Myles Turner at Adembona right now, but maybe Okongwu's better than those guys, or maybe we use one of Turner or Bona in a separate deal. Maybe we just trade one of them for Okongwu and maybe something else for Atlanta. Maybe we trade Myles Turner and a draft pick for Okongwu and Zachary Rizache. I think that could be interesting. A fun pickup would be Jordan Poole, ironically, with the Wizards. He has gotten a lot better since his first year in Washington, and bringing him back to Golden State would be a little ironic. He did recently sign an extension, so I don't know how willing the Wizards would be to doing this. And then I look at Tyler Kolek. He's on the last year of his deal with the Knicks. He's developed into a really nice player, gritty guard who can defend and can space the floor. The Knicks don't have great depth. I imagine he'll be a priority for them to re-sign, but they don't have that much money. Dyson Daniels could work in Phoenix. He's on the league minimum, so it wouldn't be too hard matching salaries because his is really small. Great defender, decent enough offensive player. I think the price here could be worth it. So let me know what you think we should do down below for the trade deadline. Should we look at one of those role players, or should we swing for the fences and maybe give up some of our better young players or better young draft picks to make a move? I want to play against the Blazers. We haven't seen them this year. They've got some intriguing young talent. Both of the games we played in the last episode were on the road, so I figure why don't we play the game at home? So we're going to simulate 6 games. We've got some tough matchups on the schedule. Oklahoma City's obviously really good. Memphis is tough. Miami's tough. Toronto's tough. And the other 2 games are no gimmies. The Blazers and Sixers are both quite solid. Atlanta offers us this deal for Myles Turner. I don't see why they would be willing to part with their first-round pick. But the fact that they are interested in Myles Turner is intriguing. Maybe they'd be willing to deal him for Okongwu or Reza Shea if that's something that we would want to do. Kajai Stokes suffers a small injury. He'll miss a game or so as we get offered this deal for Myles Turner. They would trade us Derek White. I think a Desmond Bane addition would probably make more sense for us, and I think it would make a little bit more sense for the Grizzlies as well. But again, the fact that they're willing to do this is intriguing, and it seems like Myles Turner's interest around the league is quite high. The Mavs would give us Daniel Gafford and Klay Thompson. I've seen a lot of people want us to potentially bring the gang back together, getting Klay back, getting Draymond back. Klay's cooked, though. If I can find a way to do it, I'll think about it, but he is cooked. So the good news is we won our first 3 games of this stretch, took care of business against the Sixers. Loggins-Burrell, 24 points, 3 for 3 from deep. Salis had 29 on really good shooting. He performed really well during this 6-game stretch, which was encouraging. I talked about his efficiency being a problem in the last episode, and outside of the Oklahoma City game, he shot the ball really well in this stretch. He's now shooting 45% from 3. He led the team in scoring here against Miami with 23, and he hit the game winner as time expired. So this game was really interesting. Miami hit a late 3 by Jalen Suggs to go up by 1. Curry misses a close shot. Kuminga grabs the rebound. And I guess within the span of 0.6 of the second, he passes it to Curry, who then passes it to Salis, who makes the winner. I don't see how we could do all that in 0.6 of the second, but look, we won the game. I'm not going to question it. We blew out a good Grizzlies team by 35. We were riding high, but then we lost 3 in a row. We're on a little bit of a downswing. We lose to Portland, who, of course, we're about to play against. 29 for Avdija, 25 for Novikov, 24 for Shaedon Sharpe. Curry played really well. We got blasted by the Raptors, allowing 136. That's not going to do it. 32 for Green, 26 for Scotty. Jacoby Walter had 20 on 6 shot attempts. So those 3 losses are certainly going to push us down a notch, as we have actually moved up to 2nd in the West. I lied. But it certainly does not help us making up ground with the Spurs as we look at Portland, a team who started the year really slow, but with their young core, they're fully in the thick of things in the play-in race. I think Silan Novikov has the best chance to be the franchise player here. He's had a strong rookie season, currently the frontrunner for the Rookie of the Year. Of course, they've got Scoot Henderson, Shaedon Sharpe, Donovan Clingan. And we can't forget about Bardo Campolo, the 3rd overall pick, who has taken small strides this year, but strides across the board. He is injured. It's not a big deal for Portland, but he will not go in this one, which probably is a good thing because when we played against them last year, I think he had like 30 and shot the ball like Curry. We could not stop him, and I am relieved that we do not have to see him again because he was unguardable. But again, here's a look at the rookie leaderboard with Silan Novikov in 1st. As of now, Roman Loggins-Burrell is in 5th. He doesn't really have a chance at the Rookie of the Year, but if the season ended now, he would make the All-Rookie First Team, which is pretty cool. His dependability is something we haven't really talked a whole lot about, but he's played in every game this year. He's not supposed to be a starter, but he has started in over half of his games this year because of all the injuries we've had, and he continues to do a good job in whatever role we need him to be in. As Myles Turner wins the tip, we are underway here in Golden State. Warriors looking to bounce back from a 3-game losing streak. As Novikov misses the fadeaway. Good defense by Kuminga. Warriors run the floor. Kuminga inside with the layup. And he is the first to score despite solid defense by the 2nd overall pick hailing from Russia. Scoot Henderson has it, looking to make a nice move on Curry. Henderson inside. That one is good. He gets the scoring started for Portland. It's a contract year for Scoot. He's gotten better since his rookie year, but is he worth an extension? I'm not really sure. Deep three is good. Jonathan Kuminga with the first 5 for Golden State. Shaedon Sharpe now has it. Gets it over to Scoot Henderson. Pump fake. That one is good over the extended arm of Turner. Of course, we know Scoot Henderson and Shaedon Sharpe quite well on this channel, as Curry's shot is blocked. I think that was Scoot who got a hand on it. If not, it was Donovan Clingan on the other end. Sharpe inside for Scoot, who throws it down. A quick start for Scoot Henderson. He's got the first 6 for the Blazers. Novikov with it, out to Scoot Henderson on the drive with the slam. He's too fast. His speed is too much for any of our defenders to overcome. Curry out to Kuminga. His 3 is good, and we're tied at 8. Scoot Henderson has all 8 for Portland. Jonathan Kuminga has all 8 for the Warriors. Those are the only 2 guys who have scored so far. Novikov out to Sharpe with it on the drive. That one is good, but Shaedon Sharpe is injured after the play. It looked like as he went down after the make, his knee hit the floor strangely. Non-contact knee injury, really scary moment there for Sharpe. Luckily for the Blazers, they would avoid the worst. He just twisted his knee, but he will be out for the remainder of the game, so the Blazers are going to be without one of their key scorers. Lonzo Ball replaces him. Here's Salis on the drive. Pick and pop. Miles Turner hits the 3. Turner's efficiency still hasn't been great this year. I'm hoping it's like last year where he does not shoot the ball well the first half of the year and then it gets better. Off the miss, Donovan Clingan makes the layup, 14-11. Blazers up by 3. Scoot Henderson out to Novikov. He gets it to Lonzo Ball. Whoa! Miles Turner was trying to close out after dropping inside, but he's not able to do it quick enough. Lonzo makes the triple. 6-point game. There's Silan Novikov with the layup. Do it all forward. He can score from all 3 levels. He can guard every position. He can pass the ball. There's a reason why he's one of the most exciting young players in the league. Warriors call time. Portland's up by 8. Golden State's got to get out of this rut, and that's one way to do it. Steph Curry connects on the 3. The Warriors with 4 threes, but just 1-2 as they finally get another for the first 2-point field goal in around 5 minutes. It's Antoine Salis off the drive, his first points of the game. Scoot looking for the screen, gets it for 3. That one will fall. Scoot Henderson has been unbelievable so far. He's got to have close to 15 points already, which is pretty much his season average. We're hoping that he's able to be limited dealing with Kajai Stokes, who's one of our best perimeter defenders. But that time, Corey Kispert was wide open. We can't leave the weak side with that much space, especially with a shooter like Kispert. Scoot Henderson with it matched up on Stokes, blows right by him. Layup is good. If Stokes can't stop him, I don't know if anyone can. This is the Scoot Henderson the Blazers envisioned when they drafted him 3rd overall. Pick and pop. 3 on the way. It will fall for the lefty Chris Murray. And look at that scoreboard. 34-19. This is turning into a blowout. Portland's up by 15. Lonzo Ball with it, guarded by Salis. Looking for the screen. Kispert back to Lonzo. 15 seconds now to go in the quarter. Warriors defense doing a good job defending these screens. 3 is off the mark from Kispert. Golden State looking to move fast. Bona out to Ayo Dosunmu with just seconds left. Dishes it inside for the rookie, Roman Loggins-Burrell, who makes the layup. It's a 13-point game with 2.5 seconds left as Scoot Henderson's going to throw it up at the end of the buzzer. And it's good! Oh my goodness, Scoot Henderson! A fitting end to the first quarter. I feel like that play is the perfect representation of how Scoot Henderson played in that first quarter. He was unbelievable. 18 points for Scoot as we move into the second. Nice move there by Roman Loggins-Burrell. I continue to be impressed with his craftiness inside. Off balance 3 is no good. Ball in the air. Tipped and rebounded by Antoine Salis. Looks to get by Lonzo Ball. He is in for the layup. Salis is shooting well from 2, but not from 3, which is certainly not how his season has gone, but it's been different today. Lawn 2 for Salis off the mark. Rebound and putback is by Adembona. The lead is within 11. We've played well early in the second quarter after trailing by 16 at the end of the first. Pull-up mid-ranger by Ayo Dosunmu is good. His mid-range shot this year has been legitimately automatic and unguardable. 9-point game. Scoot Henderson off the screen for 3. And who's surprised? It's Scoot Henderson who gets Portland out of the run. Shot 7 of 9 in the first quarter with his 18 points. He's now got 22, and he's not done. Lawn 2. for Scoot. He has 24 points now. The first 6 in the second quarter for Portland. Leads back at 14. Loggins-Burrell, quick 3 off the screen. Will fall. Roman Loggins-Burrell went from one of the worst three-point shooters in the league to a very respectable one in a very quick amount of time as Springer sends it home off the lob from Kuminga. Jabari Springer is such a good roller in the pick and roll, and his physicality going up for those alley-oops is very noticeable. Lonzo's blocked at the rim. Miles Turner with the denial. Here come the Warriors, only down by 7. Curry, layup is good, and that big Blazer lead at the end of the first quarter has vanished. 5 minutes later, the deficit has gone from 17 points to 5. And now it's the Trailblazers who have to get out of this rut, and they will here. Deni Avdija, who had 29 points in the win a few days ago over the Warriors, hits the 3 for Portland. The first non-Scoot Henderson Blazer to score here in the second. It took him 5 minutes, and Curry immediately responds with a triple of his own. 5-point game again. Scoot Henderson off the screen. Nice dish inside for the big man. Kling Kong with the slam. 48-41. Curry has it. Hoping somebody gets open. It's Jonathan Kuminga off the screen. Hits the 3. He's got 13. The attention's been on Scoot, and rightfully so. He's nearing 30. But Jonathan Kuminga's had a really good first half. Off the screen, Scoot Henderson again. That one rattles in. I mean, dude's literally unguardable. He has 27! And there's still 3 minutes left in the second quarter. Scoot on the drive with the slam. Make that 29, and he's done it on really strong efficiency. He's not shot chucking. Here is Dylan Brooks with it. That one is good. Nice move there by Brooks. Let's see if he continues to try to poke the bear inside. 9-point game. Kuminga way off. What was that? I think he was trying to lob it up for Miles Turner, but it would have been funnier if that was a shot, as Scoot Henderson is smothered by Stokes, and it doesn't matter. He still makes it. That's 31 points for Scoot Henderson in the first half. Curry with it. Pick and roll, and it's unsuccessful this time for Jabari Springer. Here comes Portland up by 11. Kuminga strips it away and steals it from Brooks. Nobody in front of him. He takes it the distance. 15 in the first half for Jonathan Kuminga. Way to score off the turnover. 30 seconds left in the first half. Kuminga with it. Out to Curry. In front of Lonzo. Hits the 3. And the lead is back down to 6. I think that turnover forced by Kuminga really ended up being a big deal, giving us some momentum here for this final minute. Golden State's going to get the final shot. Curry off the screen at the buzzer. No good. Certainly a tale of 2 quarters. We were down by as many as 17 in the first. The final deficit was 16 at the end of the quarter after the full court heave by Scoot. But we've brought the lead all the way down to 6. We still have not been able to stop Scoot Henderson, though. He had 18 in the first, 13 in the second. He has not sat for a single minute. And I cannot blame Portland because he has been unreal up to this point. He's on pace for over 60. Into the second half now. Golden State looking to continue the comeback after a strong second quarter. On the move, Antoine Selis hits the mid-ranger. We need him to wake up. He has not been very good so far. Good defense by Adembona. Here comes the Warriors. Selis inside Kuminga. That one is good, and the lead quickly within 2. We're picking up right where we left off from the end of the first half, currently on a 9-0 run. Selen Novikov with it. That one is good. His first points at the game. As good as Kuminga's been offensively, his defense has been even more impressive. Selis has it out to Bona on the perimeter. He finds Curry. Left corner 3 is good. Curry started slow, only 2 points in the first. Since then, he's got a dozen. Scoot Henderson is doubled. Now both defenders sag off, and he hits the 3. Miscommunication. Both Curry and Selis went to drop and go to the other defender. Let's leave Scoot Henderson wide open. Great idea, guys. Off the miss, here comes Scoot Henderson on the fast break. If you think you're going to stop him in transition, another thing is coming for you. 36 now for Scoot. I'm surprised only 14 have been in the paint. That's where he's at his best as a scorer. It's impressive that he's gotten 22 outside. Selis, corner 3. That one is good. He's now got 11. His first triple of the night. 64-61. Inside for Simone Fontecchio, and he loses it. Novikov with the steal. He gets it to Deni Avdija. Out to Lonzo Ball, and the 3 rattles in. 6-point lead now for the Blazers. 67-61. Selis gets the screen, looking for the pick and roll. Fontecchio's layup is good. A very well-executed play there. I thought Portland defended it pretty well. but doesn't matter. Blazers still allow the points anyway. Nice pass. Scoot sends it in the corner for Silan Novikov, who hits the three. We were focused on defending Scoot inside. There's all that space for Novikov, who's a good three-point shooter. And so is this guy, Antoine Celis. He's been one of the best three-point shooters in the league. His second consecutive triple. Dosunmu inside, floats it up, and it's in with the foul on Kispert. And one for Ayo Dosunmu. Off the make three throw, 4-point game. Kajai Stokes for three. That one rattles in, his first field goal of the game. And the lead is within one, the closest it has been since the first quarter. Pick and roll, tipped away by Turner. Stolen by Stokes. Here comes Golden State looking for the lead. Inside, Dosunmu with the slam. The last time we had the lead, the score was 2-0. And when we were down by 17 in the first, I didn't think we would get the lead back, but we do. Scoot Henderson has cooled off, looking to get back into the swing of things, and he does here, making the layup. Blazers quickly regain their lead. I say cool off as if he doesn't have 10 points in the quarter. That's 41 for the night. As Ayo Dosunmu makes the layup, we've gotten a big third quarter out of him. Tied at 77. Kuminga on the drive. Layup is good. He has a team-high 19 points. And the Warriors are back ahead. This should be a really fun conclusion of this game. Dylan Brooks with it. Out to Corey Kispert for three. That one is good. Portland now sits ahead. Not for long, though. Golden State would take the lead. Shot clock unplugged. Game clock sits at 7. Stolen away by Roman Loggins-Burrell in transition. He's got Kuminga. Layup is good. And the Warriors are up by 3. Will we get another Scoot Henderson full court heave? His shot is close, but off the mark. If that one went in, there would be a controller-sized hole out of my window. 83-80 going into the fourth. Another really strong quarter for us. We outscored them by 10 in the second, 9 in the third, and we're right back to business here. Kuminga on the drive. Barbecue chicken. 5-point game. Dosunmu inside. Layup is off the mark. Gets his own miss and gets the putback. Way to follow your shot. Ayo, as I said, he's having a great game off the bench. He's been efficient. He's given his energy. There's a nice slam, though. Corey Kispert makes it a 3-point game. White man can jump, I guess. Celis throws it up off the mark. Rebound by Denny Avdia. He's got Dylan Brooks. Portland looking to move quickly. 3 ties it, and it's good! Dylan Brooks knots this one up at 87. Here comes Portland now looking for the lead. Under 7 to go. Avdia with it over Kuminga. That one is good. The former Washington Wizard puts Portland ahead by 2. Screen for Celis. Pick and pop. Miles Turner falling. 3 is good! He didn't really get a landing spot. I think they should have called a foul. Nonetheless, his 3 puts Portland ahead. The bench excited. That's only Turner's second make of the game. He only has 1 miss, though. He just hasn't shot the ball a lot. We're not testing Clinyon. He's a terrific rim protector as Kispert makes the layup, regaining the lead for the Blazers. With 6 to go, Celis, crossover inside, dishes it out. Kuminga, that one is good. He now has 27 for the Warriors. Antoine Celis, by the way, nearing a double-double. He's got 9 assists. Logan-Burrell with it. That one is no good. Gets his own miss. Put back will fall. Rolog is in the double figures. 3-point game halfway through the fourth quarter. Get your popcorn, folks. Here's Kispert off the screen for the tie. 94-94. Big fourth quarter from Kispert. Here is Celis with it. Gets the screen. His 3 for the lead. What you can do, we can do better. 3 triples in the second half for Antoine Celis. 97-94. Novikov now for the tie. That one is good. Off of a great pass by Denny Avdia. Silan Novikov has had a very productive second half. He's made a couple of threes. We're tied at 97. 4 to go. Curry for the lead. It rattles in. Celis ties his career high 10 assists. I think he set that mark in the last episode, unironically. Novikov misses, but immediately rips it away from Bona and gets the dunk. 12 points now for Silan Novikov, all of which have come in the second half, and Portland's got to call a timeout. So as you can see here, Novikov misses, but then as Bona grabs the rebound, he lands awkwardly. He hurts his hip, and he loses the ball. That's how Novikov got it back. Obviously, the bigger deal is the health of Adem Bona, hurting his hip, one of our key role players who has been very healthy this year. Io, step back, mid-ranger is good. Again, that shot is automatic for him. And given his contract, he's not a guy I really want to trade away. I know we looked at him in some of those trade proposals, but ideally, I would love to keep him. Scoot Henderson in for the layup, 1-point game. 45 for Scoot Henderson. He's been quiet in the fourth, only 4 points so far. Salisa's floater is good. How did that one fall? That shot went above the clock, above the hoop. That one could have gone above the moon. Kuminga 3 off the screen. 30-piece for Jonathan Kuminga. 4-point game. Salise has it in the corner. Kuminga again. Bang! 33 for Kuminga. The Warriors might be starting to run away with it. Portland's going to need a run led by this guy. Scoot Henderson, jumper is good. For those counting at home, that's 49 points for Scoot Henderson, lead within 5. Following Blazer possession, off the screen, Scoot inside. That one is good. 50 ball. 51 to be exact for Henderson. Warriors would miss again, and all of a sudden the Blazers are right back in it. It's a one-score game. Scoot on the drive with the slam. That's 53 for Scoot. Obviously a career high, and the lead is within 1. This offense has gone cold. Io, pump fake, Curry, 3. Off the mark. Portland only down by 1 can take the lead. They're on a 6-0 scoring run from Scoot Henderson. Scoot's going to drive. He is blocked by Turner, and it's Warrior ball. That one deflected off of Scoot as it went out of bounds, and because of that, we'll get possession of the ball. The offense has got to get something going here. We have been bricking shots over the last minute or two, and it could cause us to lose the game. We're going to go for a quick 3. No good from Salise. So rather than hold it there, we thought we had a good look there. Salise is in takeover mode. Doesn't happen. Scoot's doubled. Somebody's got to be open, and he's not able to find him. Good defensive set by the Warriors. We've got Loggins-Burrell matched up with Scoot. I think his speed and wingspan is our best matchup for him. Scoot inside for the lead. It's no good. Loggins-Burrell with the rebound. He was doubled in the paint. He had an open shooter at the top of the key, but I can't blame him for taking the shot. He's got 53. Who else would take the shot there? As Curry is fouled, he'll go to the line to shoot 2. The Blazers do have 2 timeouts, so they've got options here, especially depending on what Curry does. He makes the first. Second one for Steph is good. It rattles in. 19-6, certainly not Steph's best night. As the Blazers call time, I don't think they have enough time to go for a quick 2, then foul, then call the timeout, and then go for another shot. I think they've got to take the 3 now. We're going to bring in our best defensive players. Kajai Stokes is in the game. I would bring in Adembona, but he's hurt, so instead it'll be Springer. Many of our starters are gassed, so if we can get these young guys in to get a stop, I think that's our best move. Obviously, they're looking for Scoot, and I think they're going to take the 3. So if we can try to pressure him at the 3-point line, make him tempted to drive inside, I'm more than okay with them scoring 2 points here. Scoot, pump fake for 3, and the tie, it's no good, and they don't have enough time to foul. Loggins-Burrell was the one with the clean contest at the end, and the Warriors, who were down by as many as 17 in the first quarter, come back to win, despite a 53-point masterclass by Scoot Henderson. Really, really exciting game. This Portland team is going to be a problem in a couple of years, and I can say that about a lot of teams in this conference. Kuminga led the way, 33 points on exceptional shooting. Curry and Salise were both kind of inefficient. 7 of 19 for Salise is not going to cut it. 6 of 15 also not great for Curry. But I had a good game. Loggins-Burrell was solid. Miles Turner did his thing. As for Portland, what a game for Scoot. He had 53, sitting for maybe 5 total seconds in this game. His 53 points is the most scored by any player in the league all year, which feels low, but still very impressive. Only 5 of 16 from 3, but he was 17 of 25 from 2. The problem is nobody else stepped up. Kispert and Novikov were efficient. They were the only other guys in the double figures, though. Losing Shaedon Sharpe obviously hurt, but the other guards, not that there were many, Scoot played the whole game. I guess just Lonzo Ball, really, and everybody else on the floor. They just didn't step up. Scoot Henderson was terrific, but the rest of the team failed him. So that brings us to the trade deadline in the next episode and the home stretch. We've got 32 more games to go. Again, let me know what you think we should do down below in the comments for the trade deadline and what you think of the prospects we went over in the prospect profile. Make sure to leave a like. Make sure to subscribe if you are new. I hope everybody enjoyed. Peace out.